Hey guys, this is Fergal for PokerVIP. Welcome to part 1 of a player review we are doing for PokerVIP member Bolanis. As you can see, we're playing over on Unibet Poker. So we're going to be playing 4 tables of 10 NL throughout. So I haven't seen this video as of yet, so I'm just going to be watching through it and giving my thoughts on Bolanis' play as we go through. See if we can get ourselves into some interesting spots, and hopefully he gets some interesting take-home points from the final output. So, obviously ace up in the top left table first hand, not ideal getting the walk, but hey, could be worse. 8-10 off suit, definitely looking to bring this in for a raise. 3-bet exceptionally small. I think I'm okay with flatting here. I think 4-bet bluffing here versus that kind of sizing is perfectly fine as well. It's the kind of hand where we don't really care too much if we get to see a flop. Using it as a 4-bet bluff here versus the small, like what looks like weak sizing to me, seems perfectly reasonable also. And even with the weak flush draw there, I think when we do elect to flat call and see the flop there, I think just check folding is perfectly fine. Sorry, excuse me. Deuce Jack suited, not going to be good enough facing the limp. We're going to be looking to ISO those kinds of limpers extremely wide, but Deuce Jack suited will be taking it just a little bit too far. And the 9 tray suited up in the top right table, going to be looking to let this go as well. So for any of the observant members, if you're not familiar with Unibet, you'll notice that we actually have different usernames on each table. So Unibet, one of the features is that you are able to do that. I think checking the Queen 10 there in the big blind is way too weak facing the button limp. We should be raising there absolutely in my book. Checking this flop seems perfectly reasonable, and then betting the turn seems fine as well, but I think pre-flop we made a blunder by not bringing that in for an ISO. We're going to be ahead of his limping range, or at least doing okay against it, and you know he's just going to be limp folding a decent chunk of the time. When we do get called, we're going to be able to take it down with the bet on the flop then quite frequently as well. So I think that was a mistake pre, and the ace queen suited in the bottom left table there, a perfectly reasonable 3-bet. Queen 6, pretty trivial fold, and the deuce tray suited. Oh, we've already folded the deuce tray, never mind. 6-7 off suit, definitely a hand we want to be letting go there in the small blind. Not the kind of hand we want to be incorporating into our 3-bet bluff range, because if we're 3-bet bluffing that, we're going to be 3-bet bluffing way too wide. But and as it's nowhere near strong enough to flat either, so just folding it seems perfectly fine. King 9 suited or 5-hand table seems like a perfectly reasonable open to me. Ideally, we'll just... Oh, sorry, it's even a 4-handed table, so even better. The Ed Farm player is actually not dealt into this hand just yet. We get 3-bet to a fairly reasonable size. We're just going to go ahead and let this go, I hope. Yes, we do. And no hands of note. Jack 4, easy fold. 9-5, nothing we can do there. Facing the open, we're just going to have to let that one go as well. King Queen suited, definitely good enough to open from any position. Not a hand we would have minded getting some action with, but taking in the blinds, not a complete disaster either by any stretch of the imagination. And the deuce 4 suited, not strong enough to defend our small blind there with either. Six 9 suited. I like your sizing here from the button. We want to be raising as small as we can get away with because we're going to be opening the button quite wide. So min opening the button is my standard. And the 10 jack small blind versus blind, perfectly reasonable open as well. Okay, so we get 3-bet extremely small. Yeah, folding is entirely out of the question. I think calling in position here is our best option by a reasonably strong margin. We flop a gut shot along with the backdoor spade draw, and we have pocket 7 in the bottom left table. I presume we are going to flat there and 3-bet the ace queen. I like it. So facing the under half pot sizing, we're definitely going to call and see a flop, or see a turn rather. When villain checks to us here now, oh no, I don't like that check at all. When he checks to us here, I would be looking to get him to fold all of his better high cards essentially. When he checks the turn, I would expect him to be just check giving up there very, very frequently. We have an open ender. If he does have a jack that he doesn't want to, you know, he's not going to be like check raising his jack X or anything like that. If he check raises, he has an absolute monster, which he's not going to have that often. So at best, at best, he's just going to be check folding, and he's going to have a lot of hands better than us. So it's a great result for us. And usually at worst he's just going to be check calling upon pot controlling with a hand like say Queen Jack or something along those lines. So I think betting there is far superior to just checking back and then giving up on the river. Getting him to fold all of his ace-high hands there is just a fantastic result for us all round. The ace-deuce facing the under the gun open, yeah, nothing we can do there. Ace-king suited on the button, an absolute joyous hand to see. So we're going to want to be 3-betting here, of course. So if straighten just goes ahead and folds, I'll be looking to re-raise this to earn around 90 cents, so about 3x the original open. When we're out of position, we go a little bit larger. I look to go kind of closer to 4x when we're out of position. So 86 cents there, yeah, perfectly reasonable sizing. The king and the jack off suit, I'd bring that into my opening range from under the gun. It's definitely on the looser side, but it's going to be perfectly fine against weaker opposition. And the ace-9 suited, this is the guy who just raised folded there again. Ace-9 suited, it's a hand I'd be looking to use as a 3-bet bluff again. Kind of sucks that we just 3-bet got this guy just the last hand. Might make him a little bit more likely to play back at us a little bit, but it's still going to be a profitable play. I think folding it is definitely a bit too weak. I did not see the pre-flop action up in the top right table, but we have a pretty good equity hand here, of course, with the flush draw and the gut shot. So betting here seems fine. It looks like it just went raise call pre, so we're donking out, which seems pretty reasonable to me. And I like following through here. We should be able to get all of his 9x to fold here if he does ever have them. He can definitely be floating some ace highs and stuff like that, which will probably fold here as well. And we do get called, but we bink the flush, so yeah, I like bombing here absolutely again. And he is thinking about it. And he calls and he proves me wrong. We're obviously not getting his 9x to fold there. I think his 9x call there is pretty optimistic. On the turn and on the river, it's just suicidal when the hearts have gotten there as well. It's just so hard for us to have a hand that we want to bluff there, that he's ahead of. So the ace-ace definitely looking to 3-bet here, facing the gun open. We get called, and I think I like your sizing here. We're going to go quite large by the looks of it. This kind of flop, his calling range here is going to be fairly inelastic, I would imagine. So he has, I don't think, like, it's very unlikely that he has a pair under a 10. He can have some hands like, you know, ace 10, maybe king 10, stuff like that. He can have some over pairs as well. Like, he can definitely have jacks and queens and stuff like that he doesn't want to just get in pre. So, as I said, when he has that kind of an inelastic calling range, I like going on the larger side, because when we do go smaller, we don't really gain that much when he doesn't have it, because it's unlikely he's going to be floating us there. If he has a hand like, say, king, queen or anything like that, it's pretty unlikely he's going to float after we've 3-bet and followed through on the flop. Pocket 10s here, I didn't actually see the action. It looks like we were bet into on the flop, and then we call the turn, which I think is absolutely mandatory. And I didn't, as I said, I didn't actually see how the action went down there, so I can't really judge that hand properly. But it didn't look like we lost too much, and we were against the ace-ace. So, okay, we're going to actually get to see it. Oh, no, we're not. I thought he was going to play through it again there. As I said, I didn't actually see that whole hand go down, but it looks like we just called flop, called turn, and then the river went check, check. I think aces checking that river is awful. There's no kind of justification for it or anything close to it. There's just so few hands that we have there that are just calling flop and calling turn that he beats, and there's not that many hands that we're going to want to bet for value ourselves either. Like, you know, hands like those, like exactly what we have there, which is what we're going to show up with a decent chunk of the time. Even if we have a queen there, it seems like we're not going to be betting it too heavily anyway. He's just missing out on a decent river size bet there by not following through. Ace 4, yeah, I like folding it there from early position. If we were in a bit later position, I would be bringing that into my opening range. Ace 4 suited, I do open from any position though, so the suited factor does make it a hell of a lot more playable. So on the bottom left table, I would be bringing that in from any position, including under the gun. Ace-9 offsuit is just outside my opening range from under the gun. Ace-10 and above I do open. And all suited aces I do open as well. Getting a walk with Ace-5 in the big blind, definitely not a disaster. And the 10-tray offsuit, nothing we're going to be able to do there. Even if it's folded around to us, this is one of the hands that we just let go blind versus blind. I didn't see how the action went down there, I just saw the two hands get turned over, and that was an extremely small pot for a guy that had the nut flush there. I think it was the nut flush, I think the ace is on the board. He either had the nut flush or the second nut flush though, and it seemed like far too small a pot for that. Ace-8, definitely a hand we could look at bringing into our 3-bet bluff range. Facing the limper, we should absolutely be ISOing here, so given we're out of position, I'd be making this 5x to go. So 4x, I'd be sizing that up a little bit. I'd be 4xing it if we're in position. Out of position, I just go that a little bit larger. But it's a very trivial ISO, of course. I'd look to bet this flop. Generally speaking, limper, it's not an amazing flop for us, but limpers do tend to play reasonably straightforward. I don't think we need to go that large. Oh, I thought he was going to bet 3/4 there. I think not betting here is a blunder, because if we check and he starts getting aggressive, it just puts us in a really tricky spot. Like, we're going to be getting bluffed off our hand here pretty frequently, but I don't think we can call when we do check, so we're just going to have to check fold. I think c-betting there is a better option than just giving it up though. So ace-jack suited, we will be playing this hand almost certainly. And the king's down in the bottom right table, of course, very easy open. So we have a pretty easy just bet scenario here, I think. ISO here again versus the same player, of course, with the ace-jack. Not an ideal turn for us here with the 7, but not enough to slow me down. I would be looking to just bet again here. Really look to max our value versus a 10. So if he has a hand like ace-10, for example. And again, I wouldn't be slowing down here at any point. I'd be betting here, and I'd be betting quite large again. I'd be looking to go about €3 again. I think it's too small here. I think he snaps us off with a 10 no matter what his holding is. Like, no matter what his kicker, rather. And he has the king 10. Yeah, I think that was a mistake. We went too small there. I think that seems like those kinds of hands make up the bulk of his range, like ace-10, stuff like that, when he calls 2 streets. And I don't think he ever considers folding those hands to the larger size either, so I think we missed out on a little bit of value there. 7-jack suited, yeah, front of the gun, definitely a fold. And there leads out, and we get raised, and we have ace high. Would have liked to have seen a turn here, but given that we have the backdoor nut flush draw, but hey, we would have picked up the nut flush draw. But and that was actually a beautiful card. Would have given us the straight draw as well, but obviously we can't see a turn there facing the bet and the raise. Even the bet alone we would have folded to, but if it was checked to us, it would have been nice. Ace-6, pretty trivial fold. Queen-5 offsuit, we should be letting this go. It's we open the button extremely wide, obviously. Queen-5 offsuit, just a little bit too wide though. If it was suited, I'd definitely be bringing it into my opening range. The 9-6 suited, I think we're just happy to check and see a flop here. We have 3 to a straight and 3 to a flush, but it's pretty weak 3 to a straight all round. Not enough to want us to see a turn if we have to pay for it, and especially not given a sizing. We just have to let this go, unfortunately. I say unfortunately, obviously it's not that big a deal, we have 9 high, but it's one of those hands that has a little bit of potential, and I like fighting for pots. But this hand is not one that we can do it with, unfortunately. 3-10, obviously a fold, as is the king 6. And the king tray, nothing we can do there either. Ace Jack from the small blind. This Henrik Gas player, he seems to be limping a copious amount, so we should really be looking to pummel him as hard as possible. Definitely going to be ISOing here. If Captain Benny raises, we should be looking to re-raise and re-ISO. So yeah, definitely looking to bump this up. So I'd be going a little bit larger here. I'd be going to a euro or closer, a little bit closer. May actually, with the limp, it's a kind of a weird dynamic with the limp and the min raise. We can definitely go a little bit larger than the 80 cents, but yeah, maybe 90 cents to just over 90 cents to be better. And Henrik Gas limp and calls, which is just bizarre. The queen kind of stinks. Generally speaking, Queen X is a bad card here when you've got multiple people in there. Just there's a lot of hands like kind of Queen Jack, even Ace Queen and stuff like that can show up here. The Henrik Gas, it looks like he's just playing a really heavy limping range. Captain Benny definitely has a decent amount of Queen X. I think just check folding, especially when he chooses that sizing. There's nothing we can do against it. But the pre-flop, we gotta put some pressure on the players there. I like the 3-bet here with the 10s. Given that we're in position, I think our 3-bet's just a little bit too large. This guy's short stacked as well. So, I mean, generally speaking, I'd be looking to 3 exits. Given that it's only a min open, some people do elect to up their sizing on that basis. But when it's a shorter stack as well, we don't need to go as large because we can still kind of get the money in easily post flop on favourable flops. So I think we just go a little bit too big there. And we have an easy open here at the Ace Jack, of course. Not an ideal flop. I'd be looking to check this back, and not necessarily looking to fold on turns. Definitely happy to check this down if we can. Ace Jack here has a reasonable amount of showdown value. King isn't an amazing card for us. Hopefully he just checks here and we can avail of our showdown. If he bets here, I don't think we can call on that king. There are some rivers that I'd be inclined to call on. The king is not one of them. Definitely happy to check this down though. And that really sucks that is the king jack. I think I'm kind of surprised he doesn't bet there. It's pretty clear that we have some sort of showdown value, and it's very unlikely that we have a king. The only king X really that we're checking back there would be ace king, maybe king queen, but that's I think king queen is more likely to be in our c-bet bluffing range. So I think not betting that king ball on the reverse is a little bit optimistic. So I'm not sure what happened with the jack and the queen. It looks like there was just 2 limpers and we checked. I'd be looking to ISO this hand very frequently. It's it's a perfectly fine hand. It can flop a lot of top pairs, and we want to really start taking advantage. It seems to be that there is a whole heap of passivity in this game, so we want to really be mixing it up and getting out there and trying to take advantage of that by putting people in awkward spots, not allowing them to see cheap flops or trashy hands. Which, given the amount of limping that we're seeing, they must be including a reasonable chunk of poor hands in their range. So Queen Jack is going to be performing quite well against their overall range. And as I said, there's a lot of decent flops for it, and we can just take it down uncontested with the c-bet very frequently as well. So I'd be looking to up your pre-flop aggression versus the limpers, especially here. 8-7 suited, we're over 100 big blinds deep here. We can elect to use this as a 3-bet bluff if we wanted to. I think calling, given that we're on the button and that we haven't really seen much aggression behind us, like there hasn't really been much 3-bettings in these games, so we're going to see a flop very frequently. I think calling would be my preference, but I definitely don't mind the 3-bet by any stretch of the imagination. And this board is a perfectly fine one to go ahead and fire on. So I don't think we need to go as large as we're going. I think we get the same job done for kind of half pot or maybe slightly over. I wouldn't be going anything over €1 here. I think no matter anything up to that, we'll just do the exact same thing. So just when he does have a bit of value, it just saves us that extra few big blinds. But we get the fold through. That's all that really matters. 9-4, obviously nothing we can do there. And ace-9, we can just go ahead and let this go. If it was suited, I might use that as a 3-bet bluff. Versus the mid-position open, though, it's just the offsuit just doesn't play as well. Pocket 8's definitely an open, and it looks like we're going to see a flop. Not an ideal flop for us. Betting here, I mean, not a huge fan of just check folding, but check calling seems optimistic as well. I think my preferred line is to hope it goes check, and then look to bet turns. Betting the flop is not atrocious, but the only kind of hands that we're going to get to fold, a lot of them we're actually ahead of anyway, because obviously we're never getting to fold an ace or a king, but he's going to have a decent chunk of pocket pairs, and most of them will be the lower pocket pairs. So he's going to have, like, you know, deuces through sevens. He will have some maybe 9s and 10s that he didn't want to 3-bet pre. He's also going to have some suited connectory type hands, which we actually have in a lot of rough shape. So some of them have decent equity, like 9-10 suited, for example. But he can have the lower suited connectors as well, which are drawn very, very slim against us. I mean, betting seems okay. I think it's gonna be profitable. I'm just not necessarily convinced it's our most profitable option. 5-4 offsuit the button. Yeah, I think I'd be going ahead and folding it. If we have any sort of reads on the blinds, then we can potentially extend our opening range to include it. But when we're readless, given that this is a HUD-less game and that we don't really have any solid reads, I think just letting it go is perfectly fine. 7-8 offsuit, given that we're getting a very good price there, he only 2.5x, I would be inclined to go ahead and see a flop, but it's going to be reasonably close. I would argue that it's definitely profitable, but it's not going to be like immensely profitable, so folding prevents us getting in some awkward situations post-flop. So depending on how confident you are in your post-flop game, I think folding is perfectly fine. If you are confident in your post-flop game, though, I think defending is going to be better. As I said, though, it's going to be relatively close either way, though. There's not, it's not going to be a slam dunk profitable situation. The general way that I look at these, though, when I'm playing in these games, I would consider myself to have a very large edge post-flop on most of these players. And given that we are getting a very decent price, despite the fact that we're out of position, I'd be very confident that I could turn a profit there. In a tougher lineup, though, I think folding is perfectly fine. The 8 tray, definitely letting go, same with the 5-4. And the ace tray folding as well. Gonna walk with the 6-4 in the top right table, which we like. The ace tray here, with the ace blocker, I'd be inclined to use this as a 3-bet bluff. I see our Bolanis is doing the same. Again, though, I will be sizing this up a little bit. When we're out of position, I go closer to 4x, if not the full 4x. So I'll be looking to make this certainly over €1, preferably kind of 110 to 120 thereabouts. Just to really maximize our fold equity. But we get it done with the cheaper option, so no complaints. Queen Jack, a very trivial open, of course, from the button. Seven 4 suited, I'd just be looking to go ahead and let this one go. And the 9-7, nothing we can do there, facing an open and a 3-bet, of course. You'll have to excuse my cough, I have a slight bit of a cold at the moment, so my apologies for that. Hopefully it's not too annoying. Pocket sevens, given that our 3-bets have been very successful, I'd be inclined to go ahead and fire a 3-bet here. People seem like they're not defending anywhere close to adequately facing the 3-bets, and with the pocket sevens it just puts us in a lot of tricky spots post flop when we flat and don't flop a set. We cannot fold this flop. It's a fantastic turn. But yeah, like we're gonna be ahead of a decent chunk of his overall range anyway, and the line that we're taking here, the check call, check lead river, it looks very strong. It looks like we're absolutely going for value. But I don't think he's going to bluff river with enough frequency to want to check to him. So I think post flop, after you elected to flat call, I think you played it perfectly fine. But pre flop there, I would be looking to certainly mix in some 3-bets, and I'd argue that we should be going with more 3-bets than not, given that people don't seem to be defending very well versus them. Always fun when you check call the flop though and turn the set. But given that he folded the river, I'm assuming that we didn't need that 7, that we had the best hand the whole way anyway. Jack 5 blind versus blind. I think this is a little bit too wide, but again, it's pretty close. So I'm not gonna say it's definitely. I mean, it's not awful. It might be marginally losing and it might be marginally winning, but it's going to be very close either way. So I'm not going to talk too much about that. It's kind of right at the top of my folding range. Pretty tricky spot here now. I think we just need to check and give it up. Hopefully this goes check and we somehow win. Just has a king 10 of hearts or something like that. This sizing is really tilting. I don't think we certainly can't call. It's just a case of whether we want to turn our hand into a bluff there by check raising, and I wouldn't imagine that in this pool we should be doing that there very frequently. From what we've seen so far, it seems to be a fairly passive and straightforward pool all around, and they're certainly a little bit sticky as well, as we saw. I think we got called down there by the pair of 9s and we triple barreled when we hit the flush on the river. 10-8 suited, definitely looking to see a flop here. What a flop it is. So I'd be looking to check here again, given that there's just, I mean, but when we bet here, we're only going to get called by a jack, I think. It's very difficult for us to get called by much else. This is a really annoying spot to get raised as well. So I think this bet was a mistake, our original wager. We definitely call when we see a river. And I'd be looking to bet here. I mean, it's so hard for him to have sets or two pairs. I mean, he can have jack 10 maybe. But I'd be looking to bet ourselves, and he decides to bluff the ace king there, which I think is very strange. I think he can call ace king there pretty happily, but turning ace king there into a bluff seems really poor on the turn. But basically, as I said, I would be looking to bet that turn ourselves much more frequently than checking, given that I would expect him to have a chunk of kind of ace jack and stuff like that. I think it's hard for him to have sets, and it's really hard for him to have two pairs. 6-4 suited on the bottom left table. I didn't see the pre-flop action, but yeah, I think going ahead with the check raise here seems perfectly fine. We should just be bombing it pretty big here now. He can have like overpairs with flush draws and stuff like that. There's a lot of bad cards here for us. So yeah, I like our size here. Just go huge, and then be looking to jam every non-spade river. Okay, so we're going to be calling part 1 a day here now. We'll play out the pocket king's hand, and then we will finish it up. Definitely not a great flop here for us, but not enough to make us want to not bet it. We're certainly looking to go for value here. Not a hand, not the kind of board we're looking to play for stacks by any stretch. Okay, this has been Fergal from PokerVIP. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. I'll be back very soon with part 2. Thank you very much, and take care. I hope you have enjoyed. As always, any questions, comments, anything like that at all, feel free to leave them on the relevant social media, on PokerVIP or on YouTube or anything like that, and I will endeavour to get back to them as soon as possible. Thank you very much. Take it easy, guys.